What is differential reinforcement? My goal here throughout the series is to make it as simple as possible. Pretend you're explaining ABA to your grandma, to your best friend, to your neighbor who knows nothing about it. Simply simplify, simplify, and simplify. The simpler you can make it to where it makes sense to you, the better off you are. And all these concepts are very, very simple. So let's start. What is differential reinforcement? Well, all you're doing is reinforcing certain behaviors, putting other behaviors on extinction. Commonly, you will pick a target behavior to reinforce. Everything else is going to extinct. Very straightforward. That's all differential reinforcement is, discriminating and differentiating. So let's understand the behavior on which we are working. Though differential reinforcement are of multiple types: DRO, DRI, DRA, DRH, DRL, DRD, and so forth. But let's try and understand what all these are. DRO is differential reinforcement of other behavior. DRA is differential reinforcement of alternative behavior. DRA is alternative. DRI is differential reinforcement of incompatible behavior. DRH stands for high rates. DRL stands for low rates. DRD stands for differential reinforcement of diminishing behavior. So when we start to understand all these differential reinforcement behaviors, all right, so now let's understand DRO, that is differential reinforcement of other behavior, with an example. How do we understand that? So, what are you doing? You're actually first trying to identify the target behavior. So, let's call our target behavior is screaming. Whenever that behavior is not occurring, we are delivering a reinforcement. So, whenever screaming is not occurring, you are delivering a reinforcement. That means the true absence of behavior or absence of screaming, we are delivering a reinforcement. The behavior cannot happen at all. Typically, you will put that on some sort of a schedule. So, our behavior in this case, screaming, doesn't happen for 2 minutes, then we deliver a reinforcement. What is the key here? The key here is the absence of behavior. That means not occurring of behavior. A couple of more things. It does not teach a replacement of behavior, which is important to remember, because when we reduce behaviors, we typically try to replace them. But with DRO, we are not doing that. It's also good for dangerous or high rate of behaviors. Now let's take an example. Brian cooks for his children breakfast in the morning. His son will throw food at people at the table. This certainly is an attention seeking behavior. Brian is now praising his son anytime he's not throwing the food. What type of intervention is this? DRI, DRO, DRA, or DRL? It is very, very obvious. It is DRO, because differential reinforcement of other behaviors. So when he is not throwing food, he is being reinforced in the form of a praise. So I hope DRO is clear to you all. Differential reinforcement of incompatible behaviors, DRI. DRI is exactly what we do is we pick a target behavior for decrease. We are picking a replacement behavior that cannot occur with the target behavior. In the other words, they are topographically incompatible. Remember, topographically incompatible behavior. So minute you pick a target behavior which you want to decrease in anyone, you also have to ensure that a replacement behavior that cannot occur with that target behavior should also be identified. Then you teach that replacement behavior and reinforce when that replacement behavior occurs, but the target behavior is on extinction. So because both cannot coexist at the same time, as topographically they are incompatible. So again, you are going to reinforce when the replacement behavior occurs, but not when the target behavior occurs. You are going to put the target behavior totally on extinction. Very, very straightforward, right? Is there any doubt in it? It is in the name itself that what you need to remember is you're teaching a replacement behavior, that is topographically incompatible to the target behavior. So let's take an example here. James will sit on a dock and put his feet over the water. His mom is worried that he might fall in. So she wants to teach him a different way to sit on the dock. What type of an intervention should she use? DRO, DRI, DRA, or DRH? Of course, it is DRI. Differential reinforcement of an incompatible behavior. Now, what could be an incompatible behavior to sitting on a dock by putting his feet over the water side? Safety is the issue. So if the feet are outside towards the water, then the feet cannot be inside where the water is not there. So what is the incompatible behavior? Putting the feet inside. So the mother is going to reinforce every time James is keeping his feet inside instead of outside. Safety is a major concern here. When he is putting the feet outside, that time the incompatible behavior, the target behavior is putting the feet outside. The topographically incompatible behavior is keeping the feet inside. So reinforcement will occur when the feet are inside. Extinction will start happening for putting the feet outside. So child learns that every time I put my feet outside, mommy does not reinforce that behavior. Mommy reinforces it when he is sitting properly by putting his feet inside in the dock. So I hope this is very, very clear to you guys. Always remember, here we look for the other behavior, the replacement behavior, which is incompatible. That's the crux of DRI. Another example of differential reinforcement of incompatible behavior is if the child is pinching other children in the class and the teacher does not want this behavior to exist and wants to decrease this behavior, teacher is saying the replacement behavior is putting the hands locked with each other. So the moment the hands are locked, the hands are not available for pinching. So these are two incompatible behavior, hands pinching and hands locked. So every time the child is keeping the hands locked, the teacher reinforces that behavior. So gradually, when the hands locked is reinforced, pinching automatically start extinction. Differential reinforcement of alternative behavior. Simple process. Pick a target behavior which need to decrease. Pick a replacement behavior. Now this replacement behavior, put the target behavior on extinction and replacement behavior on reinforcement. It's very similar to DRI, but always remember that over here replacement behavior is not an incompatible behavior. They can coexist yet. Now, what is the difference between DRA and DRI? In both, we are choosing the target behavior. In both, we are trying to decrease the target behavior. In both, we pick the replacement behavior. In both, we reinforce the replacement behavior. But always remember, and in both, even the target behavior is on extinction. But the only difference is that the alternative behavior, the replacement behavior which we choose, is not an incompatible behavior. So, what is the example? Blenny will pull on his mom's shirts until she looks at him. Blenny's mom now only acknowledges Blenny when he says, "Excuse me, what type of intervention is this?" So, mummy will not respond when the child is pulling the shirt, but she will reinforce only when he says, "Excuse me." Now, so the alternative behavior is being reinforced. Similarly, if in a classroom setup, the teacher asks a question and the children say, "Teacher me, teacher me, teacher me," and keeping the hands up, the teacher clearly says, "All those who will be shouting, 'Teacher me,' I'm not going to ask you because you're creating a chaos in the class. But you keep your mouth zipped, put your hand up. I'm only going to give an opportunity to those who are putting their hands up." Is this clear to you all? So the moment your hand is up, you get a chance if you're not shouting, "Teacher me." So this is the alternative behavior where hand is up, mouth is zipped, and that is reinforced. So that is what is DRA, differential reinforcement of alternative behaviors. Differential reinforcement of higher rates, DRH. In DRH, we pick a target behavior for increase. The behavior is already existing, but we want to increase that behavior. Pick an amount and an interval. Reinforce if the behavior happens more than the set amount within the interval. Trying to increase a known behavior does not teach a replacement behavior. So a behavior is already occurring and we are trying to increase the intensity of that particular behavior. Simple. You develop an intervention where you reinforce your client if they answer 3 maths problem within 5 minutes. Next time, they must complete 5 in a minute. Then they must complete 8 in 5 minutes. What is the intervention? Of course, intervention is DRH, that we are increasing to a higher rate of an existing behavior. So it's very similar to DRL. DRL is where differential reinforcement of lower rates, where we are trying to decrease the behavior of existing time. So we pick a target behavior for decrease. We pick an amount with the time period or an IRT, inter-response time. We reinforce if the behavior happens less than the set amount within the time period or less often than the predetermined IRT. So predetermined inter-response time. Trying to decrease but not eliminate a behavior does not teach a replacement behavior here. John is finally participating and raising his hand in a classroom. However, John raises his hand almost 30 times per class, which is too many times. What intervention would you use to target this behavior? Of course, differential reinforcement of lower rates. The teacher wants John to raise the hands, but teacher does not want John to keep his hand raised all the time, almost 30 times within a short period of a class time. So when a behavior is existing, you do not want to eliminate the behavior or extinct the behavior, but what you want to do is decrease the intensity of the existing behavior. Differential reinforcement of diminishing rates DRD. In DRD, we pick a target behavior for decrease. We pick an amount and a criterion. Reinforce if the behavior happens less than the set amount during the criterion. Gradually decrease the amount. It's just the opposite of DRH. It does not teach a replacement behavior. So very simple. The behavior is there, existing, but we are trying to diminish the rate of its occurrence. Your kids will not stop asking you questions on a road trip. You tell them they're allowed for 4 questions in the next 10 minutes, or you won't stop for the ice cream. After 10 minutes, you change it to 3 questions. So what kind of intervention is this? Whether it is DRH, DRL, DRD or DRA. Certainly it is DRD, which is differential reinforcement of diminishing rate. So the rate at which they are asking a question, that rate is decreasing. So first time it was 4 questions in 10 minutes, then it became 3 questions in 10 minutes and probably 2 questions in the next 10 minutes. So we have covered all the differential reinforcements. Let's try to understand the overall view of it. So in this, we do reinforce a behavior, but the only difference occurs in which behavior are we reinforcing, and that is how the time and the status differs. Put the behavior on extinction. So the other behavior is put on extinction. Absence or does not occur, that means we're talking about the DRO, differential reinforcement of the other behavior. That means when the behavior is occurring, we are focusing on the non-occurrence of the same behavior, absence of that behavior. Whereas replacement behaviors means we're talking about DRI or DRA, differential reinforcement of incompatible behavior or differential reinforcement of an alternative behavior. Again, DRI means both the behavior, the target behavior and replacement behavior are topographically incompatible. Whereas in DRA, they can coexist, but we are only focusing and reinforcing the alternative behavior. Reduced behavior means DRD or DRL. In both DRD, which is differential reinforcement of diminishing behavior, or DRL, which is differential reinforcement of low rates, what we are focusing on is the behavior is existing, but we are trying to decrease the existing behavior in terms of intensity. Increased behavior means DRH, that differential reinforcement of high rates. Behavior is already existing, but we want it to be more frequent and having a high rate. So inter-response time is very significant. It should become more and more. That is it. So this is the summary of differential reinforcement. Thank you.